try to have a little faith in yourself and try to not, because I was always a nervous kid, always shy, always shit like that. I hated myself in a lot of ways. Try enjoying yourself a little bit. Try enjoying yourself. Try to put a little bit of the dread aside and the anxiety aside, but realize that life is it's fucked up. To say it simply, it's fucked up. You get the good with the bad. You get the nuance of it all. And if you accept that and just learn to really accept people for being flawed, because I was always angry at people, and just kind of being treating me a certain way or doing stuff. If you can accept people for who they are, that's you'll be okay.
It's Johnny Late Night! And now here's your host, Johnny Rogers! Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 42 of the Johnny Rogers Show. My guest today is a stand-up comedian, actor, rapper, and incredible impressionist based out of Toronto, Canada. He also has a unique and much-needed voice of reason in times like these where everyone else on the internet seems to be so one-sided with their way of thinking. That's also why today we're talking about the importance of nuance. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, please welcome my friend and yours, Alex DeWitt.
And the only time I do these is for like work meetings and stuff. So this is my first podcast recording over Zoom.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm just at my parents' place right now, just house sitting. They're out of town, so. But yeah.
Are your parents out of the city?
They're technically out of country. They're in South Carolina, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's you can say out of town.
Yeah, they're out of town.
If you were going to Bangladesh, that would be going out of town.
Yeah.
Or to Paris, that would be.
Where's Johnny's out of town? Where is it? New Zealand.
He's just in Auckland, just taking in the sun. Yeah, man.
Jesus, man.
So,
I noticed at the start of your podcast, people should check out Alex's podcast as well, called Something's Off. The very first episode that you've got on Spotify is December 2020, and you talk about going back to your hometown during quarantine. Is that where you're at right now?
This is where I'm at right now. I'm in Mississauga, just in I grew up here. I live in Etobicoke now, or not quite Etobicoke. It's like kind of on the border between what is Etobicoke and what is the borders in Toronto and the GTA are really weird because it's like they don't see the other side. Like Mississauga people, anywhere else you go in the world, or if you go to America, Long Island people, when they go elsewhere, will say, I'm from New York, right?
Yeah.
Or people from Evanston, Illinois will say, I'm from Chicago. Or like a person from Compton will still say Compton, but LA.
I was doing a show at Zany's Rosemont, but I was like, I'm in Chicago. Right. It's not Chicago. It's fucking not Rosemont, Chicago. Illinois.
People from the city might bust your balls and give you shit. But the people, again, it's just such a vapid, empty place probably to live. Why wouldn't you claim Chicago every chance you have?
Yeah.
And people where I grew up in Mississauga, it's like they refuse to accept and let it sink in that they live in a boring, uneventful, monotonous place. They keep thinking that they actually have there's something cool happening out there that just nobody knows about yet.
Yeah. That was my hometown too. They're like, what more would you want? It's 4 hours to Toronto this way. It's 2 hours to Montreal this way. I'm like, what do you mean? You're in the middle of nowhere.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brockville.
Brockville, yeah.
So when I went to start comedy, it was like I was lucky that there was Kingston Absolute, so I could go. It was still a 45-minute drive, to do 5 minutes on a Wednesday. And then I could go to Ottawa. That's still an hour and a half, to do 5 minutes. There was a couple times where I landed background work on something in Toronto, so I was able to kind of do spots and then also do that. But it was brutal to start.
One of my great regrets right now, I'm 11 years into doing stand-up, and did it? Do you get?
It kind of cut a little bit there. It kind of went into slow-mo.
Yeah, my webcam's a little flimsy. This laptop, I think, has seen its final days, but I don't know. Joys of having a PC.
Yeah.
But one of my great regrets doing comedy is I haven't checked out Ottawa's comedy scene. I lived there for like 3 years when I was a kid. I'm not really from there, but
Hmm.
I just never went back to check out what comedy was. It was I
It's
have to because I hear
very
it's great.
supportive. It
Yeah,
is great. It's literally a breath of fresh air because like everyone's just feels. I think because there's so few comedians in the
right,
city, everyone just feels happy to see each other. You're like in
right,
this tight knit like small group, right? And even me as an
for sure.
outsider right now, like I've only done a couple shows since being here, and like everyone's still very welcoming, very like, yeah, for sure. Oh,
Right.
also, do you want to do a spot on this other show? And I'm like, there's spots
Yeah,
available? Like, that's amazing.
I
Because
know. You
Toronto was
come
a
to
grind.
Toronto. Well, it's again, it's a big city,
Yeah.
and it's just there's a million and one places that you can perform. It's one of those places where it's like here, it's like minimum try getting up 3 times a night. And if you're
Hmm.
not doing that, then what do you do? Like there's comics who have that mindset of I need
Yeah.
to just be on a stage and just crank like whatever, just pound the unfunny out of myself until it becomes
Hmm.
like second nature. But it's more difficult. There's more to it than that with
Yeah.
comedy. You it's there's writing, there's refining.
Well, there's
You know what I
also
mean?
experiencing life, right? Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear like I got so tired of hearing like comics joke about like the audition they went on earlier that day. I'm like,
Right.
no one in this crowd can relate to you. They just got off work at
No.
their fucking finance job or like,
Yeah.
they just
They
finished
just
their
sat in
shift at
piss on
Tim
the
Hortons.
subway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like the
They
audition,
just
like what
wa-
is that? Like
yeah. They just watched a woman with a machete wield it
yeah.
on the subway platform.
Talk about that. That's what they want
Yeah,
to
I
fucking
know.
hear
Well,
about.
I mean, trust me, if there's going to be more comedians talking about that soon because
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
heating up in the city.
That shit, it's like a
But
mini New York. They really said all of it.
it's dude, it's like every now and then it's like a guy you'll be on the subway and a guy wearing a garbage bag with a martini glass will come on and just start shouting about Jesus.
I
And you're
hated it.
going, okay, I I, I love soaking that shit. It's one of those weird things where I don't know how you feel, but I grew up in the suburbs. I live in the city now.
Hmm.
I'm kind of this guy stuck between I have beef with both the suburbs and the city.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuck between, You're
You
kind of
need a
frozen here.
balance of both, I think. I think we're
For
lagging out
sure.
hard here. Let me find
Yeah.
out what's going on.
Am I
I'm like,
frozen too? Because you're frozen.
yeah, you're
That
frozen
might be the
too.
theme of, yeah. And
call
now
the call
you're
the
not.
episode Frozen.
No,
Alex
we'll call it
DeWitt,
frozen or
your
malfunction.
it says your network bandwidth is low. You
Oh,
are
for
you in the
God's
middle
sake.
of nowhere?
Have I been? No, I'm in the GTA. I'm in the city. I don't know. Am
What
I
the
being
fuck?
Is this the Zoom version of shadow banning?
Yeah, they're just shutting this down. They're talking too much shit.
They're talking way too much shit about the subway, man. We
They were
gotta,
just getting into the necessities of balancing life in the city and the suburbs. You gotta pick one.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you
Well,
need both.
you need different perspectives. You need to leave, and you've done this. You'll probably agree as someone who's lived multiple places. You
Mm.
need to leave the place you were born in
Yeah, for sure. That's
for at
number
least a
one.
while, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a weird thing because I moved around a lot as a kid, so I kind of had that out of the way very early in life. My dad had a job. He was in sales. We would constantly bounce around from one place to the other. At 14, I settled.
Hmm.
But I know kids who, again, in Mississauga, there's not a whole lot going on here. You're not experiencing the full ecosystem of life, really, the full spectrum of things. There's city kids who also aren't experiencing it, but here it's like it's a Walmart, it's a parking lot, it's a couple skater kids. You're not it's a Subway sandwich. You're not getting anything really out of that. You could make funny out of that, but you're
Hmm.
not it it stifles your perspective a little bit. Like I know
Yeah.
people still. I'm 30 now, and I'll come back here. I'll go nights when I'm not doing a set. I'll go to the local bar and I'll see people that I went to high school with, and they haven't left. Like they haven't.
Yeah.
They're still just kind of hanging around. And it's it's hard now because things are so expensive. Not everybody has the means, obviously, to go. But you just see again, they've never left this tiny little intersection of places, and it shows. You
It's
know, and it's kind of scary.
it's a kind of I don't know, like they do say that like ignorance is bliss, and like I don't want to call those people
Right.
ignorant, but they are in a way.
No.
Like if they truly stepped outside of their surroundings and saw what else is
Right.
like, I don't get how you can look at, like, let's say a beautiful beach on a screensaver and not have an inkling to be like, I'd like to see that in person, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get how people can't do that. I get that it's not affordable, but like there should at least be a driving factor to move you like somewhere else, like test your boundaries, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's part of this social media I get this culture that we're living in where all you really I feel that people think that all you really need to do now is just look up an Instagram video.
Yeah.
Right. And follow this person and you get the full experience without actually physically having to be there yourself. Right.
That's what it's becoming.
You don't have to go to Coachella. You don't have to go to Coachella. I can just I can just watch Kanye West have a meltdown from the comfort of my living room, right?
But even like it's going to get even scarier with like VR and just like those body suits that they're talking about where you can feel stuff. Like I keep thinking like, what's the thing that everyone seeks, that everyone really wants but can never afford? And it's like you said, it's experience. Like everybody wants to go to like, you know, their favorite music festival, but they can't really afford it. So the best way to separate the classes, if you will, the rich people who can afford it actually go there, and the poor people stay at home and put on their VR goggles and experience it from like sitting in their bathtub or whatever.
It's insane, and I can't even comprehend it. I mean, like I'm not a gamer. I haven't caught on to the VR thing. There's something about it where I almost feel that my brain will be just so overwhelmed by it. Because I'm so this person who's into a routine in my comfort zone that I feel like almost I'd have a nervous breakdown being skydiving or.
It fucks with you on a level that you didn't think was possible. Like it kind of happens. I don't know if you've ever taken mushrooms? I don't know if you want to out that.
No, I'm never done psychedelics. Not a drug guy at all.
Okay. So basically, it's a similar experience to that. You know what you're looking at, but it's completely like, you know, you're in reality. You know that you're sitting on the couch with a headset on, or you know that you're sitting on your couch and you just took mushrooms, but everything around you looks completely different and it's changing and it's moving or whatever. That starts to fuck with your brain, because like your brain only knows what the eyes are telling it, right? Like that's the whole way that it starts processing everything. So if you have on a VR headset for too long, when you take that shit off, it feels like you teleported to a new place. Because for a while, your brain starts to believe that that's just where you are, that you're actually there. Because it has that, the same reason why you see people like they play like the zombie fighting games and they're actually scared. It's because it feels like it's right in front of you. Like that's...
Yeah, there's an element of reality, that creeps in.
Because how else would you expect your brain to react? Like it's doing what it was meant to do for 5,000 years ago to keep us alive. Like...
Right. Well, they're saying the same thing with not just VR, but you know, like 4K television and things like that. Well, they're advancing that now to I could be talking out of my ass, to 8K, I think it is. But they're sort of at a crossroads with it, because the technology has become so advanced that they're like, at some point we are not going to be able to discern what our eyes are actually seeing, what our brain is taking in reality, to the image that's on screen. It's going to be that clear to the point where it's actually going to fuck with people.
Like it looks like you're looking at a window. Yeah, for sure.
Can I curse on it? Okay.
Yeah, of
I
course.
just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm not like
Dude, I saw the
Yeah.
craziest thing. I was in this really nice like office space. My buddy 11 was shooting like a music video, and I guess they wanted to do it in this little office space. And I swear to God, like you could have bet money on it that on the wall was a piece of art. It
Right.
looked like a painting. Like
Right.
you could see brush strokes. It was that fucking clear. And
Yeah.
then Buddy just comes over and picks up a remote and changes it, and it's a TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Excuse me."
That's one of the biggest trips. Yeah.
I was like, what the
Uh,
fuck? Like that fucked with me the whole day. I was just like, it was art. I was just looking at it.
yeah. But it still is weirdly art at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, for
We're
sure.
consuming it differently. So it's again that this it's a different experience, and it's only going to get crazier. I mean, I heard one of the funniest, one of my favorite comics, Tim Dillon. He was talking about on his podcast. He's like, it before you know it, we're not that far off from being on the street and looking across and seeing two people sword fighting with a VR, like a portable VR thing, right? Like catching Pokemon was one thing.
Yeah.
Wait till you have a guy with a battle axe. Think he has a battle axe at the corner of Bloor and Young, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No pants on.
No pants. One guy's got a battle axe, the other guy's got a flamethrower.
Yeah.
These aren't even different periods in history. They're just
Having
fighting with
the fight of their lives.
right.
Oh,
You know what? I just talk shit about VR, but I wouldn't mind indulging in that. I would partake in a good battle axe flamethrower
that's
fight.
the thing is it's appealing, but you're like, that's how they get you. Like you
But
remember
that's how they get
how
people. That's
yeah.
how they get people like me, because I'm into that crazy extreme shit.
Well, here's the way I think all of this stuff is great if used correctly. Like what we should
Yeah,
be using this technology for is to teach kids or anyone who wants to learn what history actually looked like. Like imagine putting on the
sure.
VR goggles and going right there. And your teacher's like, this is the battle of blah blah blah, and
Yeah,
you're just standing
going
there with your classmates like
to Normandy
avatars.
Beach. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like that
yeah,
would teach kids a whole different level of
right.
respect for things like history or even science, whatever you want to do, right?
I agree with that. Yeah,
Imagine English class, but you're actually, okay, we're going to go watch Shakespeare's play,
yeah,
like his actual play, a recreation of Shakespeare giving, you know what I mean? Like that shit would
it,
hit hard in education.
there would definitely be virtues with it, but it's also who. And again, like I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of thing. Like I want to keep it kind of fun and, but
Sure, sure. We're getting like
it's
futuristic end of
it
the
is the
world.
idea. The question is who holds this power, right? And it's like who's developing the technology and what for. Right now, it seems like we're not doing it for the benefit of mankind. We're doing it to kind of keep people distracted in a way. And I'm not
Hmm.
a huge conspiracy guy. I'm not trying to say like a conspiracy type, but I mean like they're just it's like more the same to just dumb people down and just keep them. Oh, I don't have to worry about not paying my rent and the fact that I'm going to be homeless. I got this. I can be Luke Skywalker. I can be
Yeah,
flying an
yeah, yeah,
X-wing
yeah, yeah.
in the. So it's things like that. I think that we could definitely there would be virtues and benefits. It's just whether or not we're actually going to utilize it for that.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
becomes the dangerous step too, with like wanting to create further and further technology. Like everyone's
Yeah.
tripping out over, like Elon Musk wanting to like colonize Mars, or like
Right.
even the moves that like Mark Zuckerberg is doing with the metaverse and
Right.
whatnot. But you have to think it like, yeah, even if you look at any movie, like you literally watch any movie about like time going towards the future, like that has been done a billion times. Like
Yeah.
this feels sort of inevitable. Like it feels like
Yeah.
somebody was gonna do it at some point. It just
Well,
happens to
it's
be
like
happening in our lifetime. Like,
what one of the best movies still to this, and I'm a huge film fan, so I'm always evoking some movie reference, but I like Stanley Kubrick, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You take a look at that robot HAL 9000. Did you see the movie?
no, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you got to watch it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to spoil
I've
it,
heard good
but
things. I've heard good things.
well, one of the legendary plot lines in the movie, because it jumps from time periods. It's like the dawn of man to the creation. Like I'm not going to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
too deep into it, but look up HAL 9000. Just look up the word HAL 9000, and you will see this was 1968. This movie came out. Hal is this little red dot camera thing that just controls an entire spaceship. And the whole plot is he starts out trustworthy, like this is this new sort of watershed moment in tech, in space travel. And then he starts doing really ominous, weird, scary shit to the point where he can actually control people, and he has your life in their hand. He has your life in his hand. So it's I don't know if I'm doing it justice to the description, but you got to watch that. It is literally you could call it one of the great foreshadowings in cinema, because
like
Hal
1984
now
level
is like that, like a George Orwell type. But Hal is no different from Siri or Alexa, these things that control literally, that can control the temperature in your home, right?
That shit is so crazy, dude. Like the fact that people were at one point so like, they're like, we have to meet in person to talk because the government might be bugging my phone or listening to us, to now like you can now bug your own home for $30 and like it'll talk to you.
I don't even know where to go.
It'll play your music. You're like, what? Yeah, where do you go now?
I don't know where to go. The bathroom? I don't know. The bathroom might be bugged some weird way. Those fucking perv government officials.
That shit is the craziest. Like, everyone was told, like, hey, your government is spying on you. And everyone went, whatever. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well, that's just it. We are so satisfied with,
and that's what they did. Yeah.
I can order Buffalo Wild Wings at 2 a.m. to my front door. Who gives a shit, right?
Hey, once bacon hits $20 a pack, I think people should start rioting in the streets.
But again, like they're just gonna go for cheaper foods. Everything's so convenient now. It's one of those things. Everything's so turbulent, but there's so much convenience. It's a weird balance.
I've noticed something weird though. Is like food obviously like inflation is happening, so food prices are going up. Gas costs $2 a fucking liter, so naturally everything has to go up in price, right? Mm-hmm. But I've also noticed that like the quality of the food has just become like shittier. Like expiration dates are within like a couple days of you buying it. So I'm like, how long has this been sitting on the shelf for? You know?
I get. You know what? I get that. I got that the other day. I went to buy milk, and it was I think the expiration date was May 25th. And I go, what am I going to do with this? That's literally 2 months worth of cereal that I just have to eat in an entire day if I want to get my full money's worth.
I'm paying $8 to shit my pants for 3 days.
And then get diabetes too, right? Because the cereal is sugary shit. Oh man, it's just so you don't even know where to begin with it.
Yeah, and now monkeypox. You're like, oh, would you fuck off with these?
I don't know what monkeypox is. I don't know where.
But you know what scares me, Alex, is we did the same shit with COVID. Whatever. Yeah. COVID. What the fuck is that?
What is it? Yeah.
It's in China. They have tons of shit. Whatever. That's a big place.
Yeah. Where's Wuhan? Right? Like,
yeah. Who the fuck is that?
What the fuck is Wuhan?
Never in my life would I think I'd say the word Wuhan so many times. I never. So monkeypox could be the thing that we're talking about for the next 5 years. It's the next smallpox, or it's the next whatever the fuck.
I think people are so fatigued from the last 2 years that monkeypox isn't even going to be, it's not even in the top 10 things that they're worried about right now. It's a mild worry to people that are really kind of into, I have to wash my hands the second I take off my shoes, like that type of thing. But
I think they're not going to worry about it until it becomes like an AIDS level thing where they're like, hey, this is transmitting sexually. And then they're like, fuck.
If I got monkeypox from fucking, yeah, I'd think twice.
You'd be like, fuck this.
But how do you discern monkeypox from just herpes in that way? Oh, I guess it appears on your hands.
Yeah, that'd be fucked.
Never got herpes on my hands. Never got herpes in general. Never got.
Yeah, you're like, I should make this.
I need to make that
absolutely clear here on the record. What are some of your other favorite Kubrick films?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, and people might listen to this and shit on me. He's not my favorite filmmaker. There's a couple movies that Full Metal Jacket is terrific.
That scene, the JFK scene.
The JFK with
where he's talking about all of the great like snipers that
snipers.
Yeah.
It gives you
It's
no, but it
just
puts
so
you in the
fucking-
mindset of that guy.
Yeah.
Because this was the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So you have that guy as a drill sergeant. Yeah,
Absolutely
he probably fucking hated
outstanding.
Kennedy.
He goes.
As
He
soon
hit
as
a
you hear his
moving target.
accent, as soon as, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but as soon as you hear that guy's accent in that day and age, you're like, that guy heard about the Kennedy assassination and went out and had a beer.
Yeah, he's like, God bless it, that commie's dead.
God bless Lee Harvey Oswald
God
or
bless
whoever
the Marines.
did it.
Yeah. Group effort.
It was what's that?
I said I think it was a group effort.
I 100% believe it was a group effort. I think that's one of the ones where even my dad, who never always believed the conspiracy theories, he looks back on it now and goes, "Oh no, that was 100% a conspiracy."
Yeah.
Maybe he killed, maybe Oswald shot him, but at the same time, that was probably, again,
it was the dude standing there with the umbrella too. You're like,
right.
The fuck?
Well,
it's not
again,
even raining.
We could go on a separate
Forever.
podcast talking about the theories. Some people say it was Castro. Some people say it was the mafia, which is a fairly credible argument. Because the mafia were like, well, we helped rig the election.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're very much, if Robert you don't Kennedy. Stay on your word, they're going to let you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's just plain and simple.
Yeah, that's one of the ones where I look back and I go, there was certainly something behind that. I've been interested in it over the years, but
Full Metal Jacket, and you were sorry, I just dovetailed this into that story.
Full Metal Jacket's terrific. Just the detail in all of Kubrick's movies. When I say he wasn't my favorite filmmaker, I don't mean like I'm not a huge fan. I am a huge fan of him. I think he was a genius. But just the detail in that in terms of what it takes to truly make a quote unquote good soldier, right? What it takes to the borderline brainwashing and the beating of humanity that has to take place in order for people to follow the rules, right? To conform.
Well, it's crazy too, like that they really said, like, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Dave Smith said it. Have you ever listened to the State of the Union podcast that he does with Ari on Skeptic Tank?
Yeah, I've heard it a couple times. Yeah,
so good. The recent one was like 5 hours long, but he was talking about how back in the day when it was like Prussia or something, they were trying to go to war, and basically all the soldiers were pissing and shitting themselves and crying because they didn't know how to kill people. They didn't know how to take orders. They're scattering. So the government thought, what can we do? And they were like, oh, a school system. We'll set up a system for kids and they invented like the school system from that, or like it was the model was adopted from a government essentially trying to train young kids how to obey authority and basically like be happy for the government. You know what I mean? Like do anything for
to comply.
Their nation. To comply constantly, right? And be punished when they're not, or like put in detention or outcasted so that they feel bad. And then, you combine that with
it really
church.
is. It's the modern day layout it's the layout for our modern day system in a way.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know too much about Prussia. As soon as I hear the word Prussia, I get like a tingle down my spine. A lot of darkness to come out of that region. No, Full Metal Jacket's terrific, and just the juxtaposition in the movie between Matthew Modine's character, the Joker, and Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Gomer Pyle. Just the contrast between the two of them, where they both go through the same training, and one makes it out, and the other can't hack it, ends up going crazy, has a breakdown, becomes a good sniper, but then just can't hack it and ends up murder-suicide, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a very powerful scene in the film. But on the topic of Kubrick, I mean, Clockwork Orange is one of my top 20 favorite movies. I think that, again, another movie that you could do a separate podcast talking about for
Insane.
3 hours, right?
There was, I
That's
think that movie was part of when they were filming Batman, Christopher Nolan's. I can't remember which one it was.
with The
It
Dark
wasn't.
Knight.
I think it was The Dark Knight. It might have been the one after it. He gave all the actors basically like a list of 10 movies that he wanted them to watch. I think it was like Citizen Kane, Clockwork
Right.
Orange was one of them. But like, I just was like, that's so
Nolan, yeah.
fascinating that he gave them like this list of 10 movies to like watch because he was going to emulate that energy in his movie. And
For
you're
sure.
just like, damn.
Well, you can see a direct comparison in Nolan's Dark Knight. It's essentially, did you ever see Heat? 1995? It was a bank robbery, like a heist movie. One of the great heist movies made in the last 30 years.
Better than
was,
The Town?
Better than the Town is terrific. The Town's got
Love
some
The Town.
things
I've watched
where
that movie
I'm
an
kind of
unhealthy
like
amount of times.
the Town's one where I look back and I'm like, really, you just shot up Fenway Park and you just get to disappear to Florida for the rest of your life?
I have that beef with Taken. I was like, this man has left such a body count behind. Nobody's no cops
I don't know
are
if this
after
is
him.
legal. This
There's no
foreigner
cops?
came into France, killed
Just
people. He's not
everyone.
even in the CIA anymore. He's retired.
He's just a guy.
Shot a guy's wife. Didn't he shoot the guy's wife or something?
Yeah. Spoiler alert. But
Just okay. Well, it's a 12.
Yeah.
I remember I saw that.
So the
It was
Heat?
09. Taken. 09. This was Liam Neeson at, I think, when he turned 60, and he just went, I'm done playing the historical like I just want to kick some ass.
Yeah.
That was his version of it. Imagine being an actor with a midlife crisis. Everybody else just has to buy just flat screen TVs and, I don't know, put their money together for a new sofa for heated seats.
Yeah.
And then as an actor, you have the privilege of taking out your frustration in a movie. Like I just want to play a younger guy who's just banging models and shooting
Leonardo
guns.
DiCaprio every time.
Yeah. Oh, he's getting there, man. He's pushing 50.
He's gonna be doing more, but he's already moving that way. But he's gonna be doing way more of that. I think people saw like the James Bond or like that kind of James Dean model, and they were like, "Oh, that's what we need to do. That's a movie," you know.
Well, what's that?
I was gonna say even Tom Cruise just did something crazy recently for his Mission Impossible. And we did a Mission Impossible stunt where he drove like a motorcycle off a cliff or some shit.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is not a human being.
No,
and
that's a lizard king that's been sent here.
He is likely part reptile. I don't buy into the whole reptile lizard king shit, but when I look at Tom Cruise, I go, you have yellow eyes.
Yeah.
You take off contact lenses, and when you go in the home,
they're slits.
Most people take off their jackets. You take out your contact lenses, and you reveal yellow lizardy eyes.
Yeah, you regenerate through eating lambs or something.
And all he does
is
he just communicates through his tongue, just like.
Yeah, and his mate is like, "Okay, yes, Mr. Cruz."
Mr. Cruz, do you want the lawn done? That's how he talks to his agent too.
Yeah.
His agent gets frustrated.
He goes, "Really, Mission Impossible 9?"
So we're gonna do Mission Impossible 9. It films in Burma. We just need you to be on a flight. Okay, Tom. No, this is your agent speaking. Okay, I need you English, sir. English, not reptile.
Would somebody get the reptile translator?
You can talk.
They call it Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Tom, you can talk reptile when you're on the phone with John Travolta. Not me. I need your respect. No, it's funny. What the hell were we talking? We were talking about Clockwork Orange.
That's why I love podcasts.
I know, but like my ADHD, it's so funny talking to another person because when I'm talking on my own, I am just.
You just go on and on
50
and on.
different directions as soon as I get a thought. But Clockwork Orange, if we're talking about conditioning and sort of the genesis of like how our system works, Clockwork Orange is another one like that, where it presents the question: is morality something that you're born with or something that you have to have conditioned, right? Mm-hmm. Are we all essentially just animals, or So that's a perfect, again, the analogy in the film of him being this sort of having all the badassery. Or actually, that's a weird way to describe his antics. Just he was just a
Badassery.
hooligan just breaking into homes.
Look at this numbskull just breaking
This
into
numbskull
homes.
just going in and assaulting. Yeah. But it is sort of a weird analogy for that. Like him just being this juvenile delinquent. He commits a terrible rape, and he's, again, just the most reprehensible movie character, one of them you've ever seen on screen. And you're able to just watch his reformation. But there's also that question at the end of, he's still not he's not a good person. He just physically cannot commit crimes anymore. Right? He's still a piece of shit, but he just can't, it's weird with movie characters. And you probably watch, again, comics. We're just constantly indoors just watching films, but it's always great when you're watching a character and the character is just the worst of humanity, but you connect with them to a degree.
Yeah, you're like,
that's why I love Tarantino's movies. What's that?
You're like, I would be this person. Like, when there's people who are like, they're so far out there, but there's just like some. I mean, they really did that with Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker. He was out there, but he was still felt like it could be somebody you know.
That's the part. That's what was creative. I wasn't a huge fan of that movie, but
no, me neither. But the way he did that character, I thought was like, that's interesting that he took that angle.
I appreciated where it came from. Yeah, and the idea of this is a guy who's like any of us, who is suffering from this illness, and he becomes the Joker. I thought that was the perfect origin story.
Mm-hmm. Especially seeing where he comes from. You're like, you like, again, like you said with the other characters, he's still a piece of shit. Like what he's doing is not okay. But you're like, you still feel for him. It's just, and it's such an appeal to human emotion where it's like trying to get empathy out of you. It's trying to pull that out of you for someone who would otherwise be hated at face value. Kind of teaching viewers, hopefully, not to take people at face value. Maybe get to know them a little more. You can still hate the things that they do, but you can at least,
realize that there's nuance and there's complexity to
nuance
people.
Is the word.
And there's an underlying reason why people act the way they do. Even if they are terrible people, there's a reason they became that way. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the best examples of piece of shit characters that you're invested in, I don't mean necessarily connecting with them like I want to be that person or I see it, but there's elements that make them real. That's great writing. That's great filmmaking. And Pulp Fiction's another one where John Travolta and Sam Jackson are murderers. Like they're murderers. That whole plot line with Marvin, when I shot Marvin in the face, man, that's played for laughs, but nobody really focuses on, you know what I'm talking, you've seen the movie,
right?
Yeah,
I've seen the movie.
That whole 45-minute plot line, that chapter, is played for laughs, right? They accidentally shot this guy in the face, and they've got to go bury his body. No one focuses on how dark that is. This guy is going to be missing forever. Yes, they've gotten rid of the body. Yeah. He's going to be missing forever. His family's going to be wondering where he is. His mother's going to be crying. They're never going to get closure. But yet you're just invested. You're worried about the guys who just killed him, right? You're worried about these guys, these murderers, these devil people.
Yeah. I hope they get away.
You're like, I hope they get away with it. And at the end, when you see the car getting crunched, right, by the compactor, you're like, that's Travolta, But
it's because you hope, like, if you're ever in a scenario like that you could be as cool as that and be able to, but no one is like that. Like, there's very few people, I should say, that could have that level of being like such a psychopath that they could kill someone and get rid of the body and be like, let me just go about my day. Like, at any point in the movie, you don't see it like haunting them. They just move on to the next thing.
For sure. Well, it's weird because I've seen it in some people that I've known. I have a pretty good group of friends. I have a pretty good, like, still guys from my hometown who
Nice.
are out living their own lives. I still hang out with them for the most part pretty regularly. They come to the comedy shows, they do stuff. I have that circle around me. I have comedian friends, but I have a circle of actual
I
human
think
beings that
non-comic friends are actually great to have too.
that
Yeah.
they keep you comic friends keep you humbled in a different way, but real friends will also keep if they're good friends, they will keep you humbled as well. But I try to you want people whose souls are not tainted by the disastrous world that is comedy, right?
Always trying to
Um,
say the next craziest shit.
for sure, right? Everybody's trying to one up each other,
Yeah,
right? You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're on the subway. I'm not on a podcast right now. You can turn it off.
Hey everybody, Johnny here. Just want to take a quick second to thank our newest Patreon subscriber, CLB. I appreciate your support, and because you are subscribed to the show for just $1 a month, you're getting this episode before anyone else. If you want to be cool like CLB, head to patreon.com/TheJohnnyRogers and join in on the fun. All right, now back to the episode. Yeah.
Just put your headphones in and just listen to Kendrick Lamar or whatever he's doing. But it's a weird thing this circles back around to the suburbia talk. Growing up, you outside of a city where there's not a ton of it was relatively safe where I grew up. It was relatively nice and quiet. But again, like a person from Mississauga might hear this and go, "Man, what about Green Apple Court, man?
Yeah.
That's where the shit went down, man. Green Apple,
Yeah.
Pine Leaf Crescent, man, where people would, you never knew what a dude had on him." That's all bullshit. Whatever. It's soft as shit. But every now and then you would meet a person who you were like, this is a psycho. There's something about that. Like suburbia is this place where everything is so spread out and far away, but so accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got malls, you got, it's wide open streets. You have to drive places, but you do have malls that are nearby. You have,
Yeah.
everything is, there's sprawl, but
sounds like my situation right now.
yeah, that's probably the way it was in Brockville too.
Yeah.
But people are bored. When kids are bored, they could get up to some crazy shit, man.
And if one of those kids is a psycho, like it starts young, right? It starts with like lighting stuff on fire, hurting small animals. You see these kids, like you've known these kids, like the kids that are like a pyrotech, like pyro.
I've known a couple of them. Do you remember that movie Alpha Dog?
No, I've never seen that.
From years back. It's about a bunch of suburban drug dealers in 90s LA, like in the suburb, like rich kids that just deal drugs and there's absolutely zero consequences. And one of them gets in a beef with another guy and ends up kidnapping his brother. And then the shit spirals out of control from there.
Oh, Emil Hirsch.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake's in it? Is it based on a true story?
You know what Timberlake is in it. Yeah. And Ben Foster and Anton Yelkin, who died. Oh, Amber Heard's in it.
Oh, yeah.
Amber Heard is in it. She's one of the chicks who fucks him.
Sounds familiar.
Fucks him in the pool. Why isn't anybody bringing that up? Like, Amber Heard, you had sex with an underage teenager in Alpha Dog.
Damn,
if we're going back, if we're driving back into Judd Apatow comedies from 2006 and going, well, you said fucking go after her.
Amber Heard.
You had sex with a dead. You had sex with a dead kid. He is now dead. That's what they should do.
That's the headline, Alex.
Amber Heard has pool sex with underage boy.
Underage deceased boy.
He wasn't. Let's just make it clear. He was.
He wasn't dead at the time.
The time of the coitus.
Eesh. My God, his poor family.
Yeah. No, but that's a fucked up movie. But it's about these suburban kids who have no consequences. There's nobody to keep them in line, so they just end up. Everything is at their disposal, right? And I remember watching that. I watched it now. I rewatched it recently, and there is a kid from my high school who is textbook, not just in attitude, but in appearance. Emil Hirsch in that movie, who was
Wow.
just this drug dealer, little guy, liked to fight, liked to threaten people, embarrassed me, right? And I look back at that and I go, holy shit, man. So those are the kinds of, that's for the most part the type of maniac that I dealt with. But again, like there was some crazy shit that happened, like house parties, everything. No good story in suburbia starts with I was at a house party.
No.
I was at a house party and we solved the cure for cancer. No,
Yeah,
it's
no.
I was at a house party and a guy came in with a Molotov cocktail and just said, "Hey, anybody want to do blow and just see where we can throw this thing?"
Yeah, that's every fucking house party. I remember I was at a house party in college, and I guess the owner of the house just decided he wanted everyone to leave. He just decided
Yeah,
the party was over, and
right.
nobody cared, nobody listened.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then he went upstairs, and he came. I'm just like working the music, right? And he came back downstairs with a baseball bat, and he goes, "I'll say it again, everybody to the." And he just started swinging his bat. And I was
I
like,
got
Jesus.
I got two stories for you. So the first one was these were both in Mississauga. Mississauga, you know what? I take back everything I said at the beginning. Mississauga is just full of psychopaths, and if you
That's
want
where they
your
go.
kid
It's
to be
like
raised
Australia.
right, don't live. Yes, it's relatively. I get there's no bank robberies. Okay, there's none of that.
Okay.
But if you want your kid to be a realized member of society, raise them in the South Bronx, raise them, raise them in Compton, raise them anywhere but my shitty suburb that I grew up in because it's just entitled psychos. Um, so my buddy, this was our first year back from college. I stayed to go to Humber College, Humber Comedy. I'm an alumni.
Hey,
Oh
shout
yeah,
out.
yeah. This what you've heard today
So
is
you
just a
know how to
product.
cook. Did you get to learn how to cook stuff over a light
I
bulb?
I know how to cook jokes, baby. Cook and joke. That's my all I need is just a recipe and I'll cook it. No, I'm fucking around. But I stayed for college and my friends all kind of went away. So the first summer back, my buddy who had a big ginormous house said my parents are going away for the summer down to Florida. They have a place down there. I got the house to myself. I'm throwing a party. So we're like, okay, whatever. Do you want us to invite people? He goes, no. We're not going to do. Remember Facebook groups, like
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah,
event group?
yeah,
That was a big
yeah.
thing. So he was like, no, don't do a Facebook group. We're going to do it just organically. Just you guys tell a couple people.
Spread the
I'll tell a
word.
couple people.
We'll
Just
throw
text whoever.
flyers in the hallway.
Let's just keep it. No. He said, let's just keep it subtle and just have a
Uh,
fun night, right? This
yeah.
party was like Project X.
No.
This party was kids on the top floor, kids in the backyard, people pissing in the pool, people going everywhere. This coked up kid ends up at the end of the night throwing a flower pot, not like a normal flower pot that's on a ledge, a ceramic 150-pound pot,
Oh my
just
God.
lifts it and heaves it at my buddy, the guy who's throwing the party. And it smashes, and he's just out of commission. He doesn't even know what hit him. He's just like looking around. He's like, "What happened?" Right? So that happened, and then there was a fight in the like front. His house was big enough to have a foyer. This is a
Yeah.
buddy of mine who's like still a friend of mine. He's a good guy. This was just like a
He's like, hey,
stupid
this is
decision.
me.
But so there was a fight that broke out in the front foyer, and a group of kids who weren't invited. 90% of these people weren't invited, but a group of
They were really not invited.
evildoers, a group of busybodies showed up,
A couple of
and
Hell's Angels.
my buddy's trying to get them out of the close to. My buddy's trying to get them out of the house. So there's a big crowd up by the front foyer because now like there's a commotion, right? These kids won't leave. So finally a fight starts, like fists start flying and shit. And I'm trying to get out. I'm such a pussy. I'm trying to get into the corner, just like trying to block myself, anything to remove myself. I don't care that my friends are getting haymakers thrown at them. Just how do I
Fuck outta here.
remove myself from this? So this one kid, during this whole thing, fucking locks the door, and just says, "This is our house now." And everybody, after, again, like the fight's kind of winding down, everybody's yelling, "Our house, our house, our house, our house," right? So it's just complete chaos. It's like a
Oh
prison
my
riot. It's
God.
just insane. So one kid in the middle of this climbs up.
Oh, I think we froze there. Damn it, we're getting right in the middle of it too. Maybe this is a good time to cut to commercial. Alex, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
What's that?
There, you were frozen for a little bit there.
Oh, was I? Oh man, that was the fucking that was the climax of the story.
You were literally like, he went up the stair.
Oh, you didn't get the whole thing?
I didn't get anything.
He climbs up the staircase, and I swear this is true. He climbs up the staircase, gets to like the top, climbs over the banister, yells Wu-Tang
No.
into a group of people. There's girls there. There's like everybody. Like no one is safe.
He just landed on him. He just pulled like a Rey Mysterio, just hopping right from the corner.
He pulled, yeah. He was like Mickey Rourke at the end of The Wrestler. He just like dives. No one knows his fate. Just completely. No one knows, and just blackout, and it just ended. But the cops ended up showing up, and everybody like booted.
And the cops said, like, "This is our house."
They're like, "This is our house," and they never left. They took all the booze, and
it's their house.
But there was a point where the house got so crazy because it was like 150 people just crowded all around.
That's nuts.
Kids just doing whatever the hell they wanted, leaving garbage out in the middle of the street. We look out the window. It's like the middle of the night, and there's just a large congregation of adults in the middle of a court, just looking like, what the fuck? What do we do? What do we call a SWAT team? What do we do?
That would be terrifying as an adult. Like, I think at this age where it's like, obviously I'm not a homeowner. I don't know when I'll be a homeowner with these prices. But if we're at least old enough to think in those terms, you know? So it's like, if I were to be a homeowner and then my neighbor's kid is just like throwing a rager, I would be like, what the fuck? I've spent so much on property tax, and there's a kid pissing on my flowers. As a kid, you're like, why are you so mad? But then like once you get to this age, you're like, you get it. You understand. You just start to really understand it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 30 now. I'm just so glad that time in my life is over, where I'm just not, you know what, like people say like, oh, when you turn 30, like the hangovers get worse and you gain weight quicker and you do, it's like, I'm kind of like, good.
Yeah.
I need something to
slow this down.
You know, deter me from just living like a maniac.
Yeah. I turned 30 in October, and anything after 2 beers now, I'm like, I gotta stop.
I'm fine. No, I have a few more than 2. I have
weed, on the other hand, it doesn't stop. It keeps going.
I know I'm not a weed guy. Never been a weed guy. But more just a drink. Like I was just around partying, and I just knew sort of my limits in terms of what I wanted to try. And I just, again, beer was like the one thing that stuck with me. But
I found it was the opposite. I was like, people were always peer pressuring me to drink, and I just wanted to smoke weed. Like I did.
Yeah.
There was like, I couldn't care less about being drunk. We're getting super high. I'm like, I love this.
I gotta be a contrarian all the time with everything. So if you do weed, I gotta be like, fuck weed. No, it's terrible.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm the exact same way. My girlfriend's like, why are you always playing devil's advocate? I'm like, I don't know. It's fun.
I'm like that. No.
I like to push people though. I like to see, like, if you come at me with a stance or an opinion on something, I like to push you a little bit to see how much you actually believe in this.
Yeah, or how much you know. That's important too. Like how informed you really are on your opinion.
A lot of people just have a face value of buzzwords that they repeat,
for sure.
And then they can't expand on anything.
Or they have just a one-dimensional opinion. Like, again, life is full of nuance. That should be the theme of the show, nuance. That's what it should be called.
That's a good word for it, yeah.
That's, because you were talking about the theme, like the word of the episode. I think nuance should be it. It's like I want people who are ambivalent about subjects. I don't want somebody who just has this one-dimensional, can't think of it from both sides type of thing. Like, I think that's one of the problems and why we're in the situation we're in culturally. It's because people just can't see the other side. And again, there's parts of the other side. A lot of the time, I'm in the middle, but there's parts of both sides that are fucking crazy. But you need to understand where it originates to have I think to have a fully realized
It goes back
take.
to understanding the fucked up character and the reason why they're fucked up in that way. It's like you need to
Yes.
understand that if someone strongly believes about one thing, okay, where are they coming from? What is it that they're perhaps lacking in their everyday life that's separating them from being able to think about what the, because I hate when people say like, oh, I couldn't imagine what that feels like. I'm like, well, you could imagine, like, you know, you could try to imagine. Like, it seems weird that you can't even imagine like what someone else is feeling. Is it not being able to do that, or just not wanting to? I think is what a lot of people need to actually admit to. Because
For sure.
ignorance of knowledge is inexcusable now because it's everywhere. Like, if you want to learn something, you can look it up. Now it's just laziness. You used to be able to say like, how could I learn all that? I have to go to university or I have to blah, blah, blah. You can go to Yale University on YouTube, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, again, like talking about the arguing and people not being informed. I mean, I'm the type of person, I need to at all times be having a discussion about something. It drives my friends crazy. I've been drunk just with like a jalapeno pop or just chewing it, going, I mean, you know, chemtrails, dude. Like, it's all over, you know, just cheese running down my face. But no, I'm kidding. I'm not like a conspiracy dude, but
no, but
again,
you like diving
subjects,
into topics to like
the
really pull it
subjects,
apart. Yeah.
exactly. The subjects that I'm passionate about, I want to learn more and more about them. So hopefully when we have a discussion, you're as informed and as, I'm not going to use the word enlightened. That's just kind of weird,
Yeah.
but you're as informed and as interested and invested as I am in this. Cause I want to have a constructive talk with somebody. You'll talk to people, and it's usually over alcohol, so that becomes kind of a roadblock for people. But it's you'll talk to people, and you'll go, okay, you're offended by this joke that a comedian did. Well, why? And they'll go, well, you shouldn't say things like that. I go, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and maybe your perspective of it, but comedy is subjective, right? So the things that offend you might not offend somebody else. It's all about perspective, right? And the fact that you're an individual with your own sensibilities, right?
Yeah.
So you can't dictate what people can and cannot joke about just based on your personal sensibilities. Otherwise, we would just have chaos, right? Like there would be nothing. You wouldn't be able to say anything.
Yeah, you would literally like that. That's what's so scary about this new like information whatever department they're calling it now in the U.S., which is essentially the Ministry of Truth, where they're just a government entity that's deciding what is fact and what isn't fact, and then feeding that back to you. Like I put up an Instagram story the other day that was like pretty. It was pretty like it's not a big conspiracy. It was
Fairly
about
innocuous,
how fairly innocuous about how millionaires hide their wealth. They make $20 million. They pay an artist 25 grand to paint them something. They take it to their friend who is an appraiser who appraises it for $20 million. Then they give that as a donation, a $20 million donation to the art gallery, and they get $20 million tax free back on their taxes. Pretty run of the mill. Everybody knows. It's like this was flagged as disinformation. Anything else like this, your like account will be removed. I'm like, what?
I'll do you one. I'll raise you one. So when Betty White died, the day she died, I posted a picture of her, this classic photo that's gone viral of her with Eazy-E, right? And the joke was I posted, it was like a slide. So there were two photos that I posted on Instagram. The first one was Betty White with Eazy-E in like the early 90s, the two of them together at a table. And I said, R.I.P. Betty White. We will get to the bottom of why. We know you died too soon. Again, she was 99. I'm like, you died too soon. We know who's behind this, right? So keep in mind, Betty White and Eazy-E. So the next slide was Suge Knight just smiling into the camera. because there was always that conspiracy that
Yeah,
Suge
yeah,
Knight
yeah.
murdered Easy, and she
Yeah.
murdered this. Like it was just a thing that kind of fell together. It turns out, not even 6 hours, not even like by the end of the night, that photo had been flagged for disinformation because it was photoshopped. So they were never together at the same table. It was just two. I didn't even know that. It looked perfect, right? I just
Wow,
figured
that's
they were at,
wild.
like there was an event, and Betty White was like always hip and into like what the cool culture was and things like that. I figured
Yeah.
she at one point
Probably hung
just
out.
was
Yeah, yeah.
having a drink with
She's
Easy,
a
right?
cultural icon. If they happen to be at the same award ceremony or something, like of course you would like be like, yeah, that would make sense. That's the crazy thing with Photoshop is it's going to create like Mandela effects because people are going to be like, I swear, Easy E and Betty White were. I saw it on video, like, but they'll have just seen the photo, but then they'll
You're still
make
go,
up the
dude.
memory.
I can't hear you. You just went out. You froze and went out. This is it. This is it. This is what I'm
This is
talking about.
it.
It's Kubrick 2001: A Space Odyssey. The government is listening in. HAL 9000 is listening in.
God damn it! Can you hear me now?
I'm kidding. Yes, I can. I kept having to stop. Like I'm cringing. I was cringing trying to. I was like, no, no.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen, man. It's
uh,
just
I'm kidding.
it's there's just like at what point do we just realize like we need to get off the internet, you know? Like there's this
Yeah.
awesome theory going around called, I don't know if you ever heard of it, it's called like the dead internet theory, where it's just,
No.
so the internet as we remember it was just like a couple of websites that you go to, but there was
Yeah.
like it just was
You
this
played
thing.
Pong. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to like, think
Play Pac-Man.
funnyjunk.com, eBombs
Yeah.
World, like
Right.
Facebook, even when it was just like the website, you would go check it for a little bit and then
MSN. Yeah.
put it MSN, like any of these,
Yeah.
right? You could just browse the internet, and with Google too, it became even bigger. But now it's just like the same 6 social media sites over and over and over again.
Right.
And then on top of that, because there's so much vanity to these like followers and all these counts and verified stuff that people want to get, they're overloading the system with bots, trying to
Right.
like up their follower count, let's say with bots, or up their subscriber count with bots.
I see it
But
with
now,
mine. Yeah.
but what happens is like now the internet itself can't differentiate between real people and bots because there's
Hmm.
so many bots. So at a certain point, the amount of real people will be outnumbered by these bots, and we can't tell how they're controlling conversation on the internet, especially
Interesting.
if it's within these same 6 echo chambers. They could just be easily influencing people or moving people in certain
Right.
political directions by just firing at 100 tweets and then changing that so that it's trending. And now you're looking at that
Right.
tweet and now thinking that, right? It's
Interesting.
robbing
Yeah.
us of that ability to think independently because we're just stuck scrolling this forever and ever and
Yeah.
ever.
Well, I heard it from, I think my dad said it one time. He goes, the internet is not your friend. It may be convenient. You may be able to talk to a friend you haven't seen since forever, but it's not your buddy, right?
Mm.
It can turn against you. It's one of those weird things, and not just who's listening in, but again, like these people who got Facebook. I heard a marketing guy one time who said, if you grew up when Facebook, if when you were growing up when Facebook was first coming out, get rid of your Facebook. Just get rid of it. If you want to get a new one, get a new one. But chances are, because of the cultural shift in sort of this sea change in terms of what people joke about and what they talk about and what's, politically correct, whatever, chances are there's a paper trail of things that you've said as a teenager that could be brought back up in your adult life that you're not going to like, right? And I remember thinking about that, and I'm like, holy shit, it's true. It's true. We all have it. Teenagers
Because
are
times
animals.
are different. Like
Yeah,
that's just a reality of it. Like
it is the reality.
if you watch a movie from 1970, you're like, whoa, they're saying some shit that I'm not used to because you're used
Yeah,
to this current like way of making film or way of talking to one another,
sure.
and things you're not allowed to say and things you are allowed to say, and even new
Right.
words have been formed. So there's older words that seem outdated, and Like clearly, Facebook post is going to be a prime example of that, especially
Right.
something from like 2007. You're like, the fuck
For
did I say in
2006,
2007?
that time, I mean, when I think
Your
back at,
brain's not
again,
even
like
fully formed.
your brain's not fully formed. Again, teenagers can be just soul crushing in terms of just the way they behave, the way they treat other people, kids in general. But I remember just, again, you were sitting with a bunch of guys on some bleachers at lunch, and it was everybody. It's like I had a pretty like diverse group of friends. It was just like fucking roast hour, right? And you were saying things like, again, if one 8-pixel flip phone Motorola video came out of you and your friends doing that, you would be in prison.
Yeah.
you, you know,
Especially
but
by today's standard, you know?
by today, no, I'm kidding. You wouldn't be in prison, but you would be like, again, you'd be reprimanded, to
For
say it
sure.
lightly,
It'd be
and
worse. You'd be shamed. You'd be
right,
shamed off the
you'd
internet.
be
That's the big thing
shamed.
that nobody wants. Like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my monetization. Or
Yeah,
like, oh my God, I'm going to be like. But once you realize,
for
like,
sure.
I've heard this a million times from people who've been like canceled off the internet.
Right,
You listen to them talk on podcasts and stuff, and they're all kind of like, yeah, nobody cares in real life. Like, you can still go to the store, unless it was like a global, like,
right,
Will Smith is going to have a hard time, walking around for a little bit.
for sure.
But
No,
if you're a
yeah,
comedian that got canceled on Twitter, it's like there's
right,
so few people on Twitter in the grand scheme of
right.
things that we're putting more meaning
It
on it than it really is.
it's so interesting. Absolutely.
Like my mom doesn't
Yeah,
know that
there are
Ellen got canceled.
no, they don't care. Like your mom
Doesn't
probably has a
care.
job. Your mom
Yeah, she
probably
doesn't
has
care.
a mortgage or
Yeah.
something that's keeping her mind on like serious things, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, but no, there are facets of our society, like there are corners where this craziness it hasn't touched there yet, right? There's
Luckily.
people, again, you go to a bar at night and you just hear people just spending the night together, and they're not in this world of I might offend this person. And it's good to be conscious, and you don't want to be insensitive or say something, but
Sure.
life is not you walking on eggshells, afraid to talk. Like you
Why
can't.
filter the
It's
fun?
impossible. You can't do that. And it's like these groups or whatever, whoever they are, who are you're trying to. Oftentimes, it's like the white liberals who are trying to don't offend this person, don't offend that person. The
Yeah, on
people that
everyone's
are afraid of
behalf.
offending have no use for this. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might, but for the most part,
If it's
it's just
directed at them, I'm sure they
garbage
would.
for sure.
But somebody just saying it like as a joke abstractly or about
Right,
a certain thing in general, usually
right.
people are like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah, it's just all such craziness, right? Like I want to I want to treat people well. I want to be a good person. I think I have, but at the same time, like people are people, right? People are imperfect and they're going to screw up and make mistakes. And the people who can't accept that, or don't like to acknowledge that, I mean, you're just unreal, and you probably have done some shit yourself, right? If you're constantly calling people out on
Mm.
the things that they've done,
That's
it's
usually a
like,
big
well,
indicator
what
of
have
that.
you done?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. That's usually a big indicator of that is the person who is like the loudest with that shit. It's like you're hiding something,
I mean, we're not going to name names or anything, but
no.
you see it all the time in comedy, right? And in show business in general, right? The people that are the most sanctimonious in terms of this person did that and you can't joke about this and you can't joke about it's like you're hiding probably a body under your floorboards.
I
Like
mean, look at
someone
Bill
check that
Cosby.
person's
Bill
home.
Cosby was the number one person who was telling people not to swear in their act and telling them to clean it up if they ever wanted
Oh,
to be
pull your pants
successful.
up, do whatever he was saying. And
And then
people were
he's
just like,
literally
go fuck yourself.
drugging, like,
Women, yeah.
yeah,
Oh no, he's again, that's one of the prime examples of that. But there's more and more too.
there's dozens, yeah.
But you I just want to shift gears for a second. I wanted
Yeah.
to add, so are you still doing music? Because I feel like this is sort of a mutual sort of past that we have, the two of us.
Yeah, I
You still
noticed that
doing it
as
at
well
all?
too. I'm not doing it as much right now. I've kind of shifted my brain back to comedy and trying to write more comedy because I
Okay.
feel like I still have more to do with that. But it was
Right.
really just over the pandemic, I had all of this fucking energy and all this shit. You know, I wanted to keep talking, basically, right? I was like, I
Right.
have all this shit to say. And I was just like, I had always had an interest in hip hop and always been like interested in music in general. And I like learned
Right.
guitar and, and I thought, well, if I'm locked inside for, the next however long, let me like learn how to rap. So I literally spent like
Right.
probably a good 3, 4 months just like watching videos and like taking in completely like how to rap content. I think that's
For
even the
sure.
name of the YouTube channel. How to
Yes.
freestyle, how to write bars, how to write a song, how to like do everything.
Yeah.
And then I just took notes, literally like I was going to school. And then I sat down and wrote my first song and recorded it. It was absolutely terrible. There were like some people who were like, "Yeah, it's like there's something there. Maybe keep going." I only
Right.
asked like my close friends. But then there was something that like just clicked after I didn't even mean to do this, but like just became obsessed with the whole process of it, of like finding a beat that I was like really into, and then just starting to like formulate words and starting to like come up with like different ideas for a theme for the song. And then it just became
Right.
like an addiction. I just did it. I made a song every day. And before I knew it, I was at like 20 songs, like 20
20
tracks that I
tracks.
had
Yeah.
that I had done out, and I was just like, holy shit. So then
Awesome.
right there, I was kind of just like, oh, I can like get better at this. I can like critique this,
Yeah.
and it started to become just more for me. And the putting it out there was like, I know it's not like top quality. I'm
Right.
not a producer. Like I don't know how to vocal edit myself. I don't know how auto
Yeah.
tune works. Right. I'm just doing
Right.
it based off of what I think sounds good. But putting
For
it out
sure.
there was like helping me get over that fear of giving a fuck what people thought. I
Yeah.
realized during the pandemic that I care way too much about what people think. So
For
yeah, and then
sure.
I ended up putting out the Spotify album, and I thought once I put out this little mixtape album, that's kind of my
Yeah.
full circle on that. 2 years
Right.
I think I spent doing it. So
That's sick, man. Yeah, with me with the hip hop stuff, and look at us two suburban white guys just jamming it up over our hip hop thing.
that's
But
progress, ladies and gentlemen,
that is progress, and that is
or
where we should
cultural
be.
appropriation. I don't know which.
Oh, don't even fucking bring that. Nobody's
We're gonna get shut down
behind the
again.
doors of the internet. But no, I grew up loving hip hop. Right, ever since like I think Forgot About Dre, Dr. Dre, Eminem. That was like my first rap video. That I was like, my dad was like flipping
Yeah,
around on TV, and I remember it turned on. I'm like, who is this blonde haired angry guy
yeah,
with this
yeah.
super cool dude in the leather jacket, and he's got the ball, like, um, yeah, I just grew up loving it, and I just felt like it was more of a phase for me. I
Mm.
did it, I enjoyed it.
When did you
Um,
start?
I started at 19. Started at
Wow.
19. I was always writing little rhymes. I was always listening to music in my earphones, but I never really gave it a crack.
You sound cut out there. Hold on, I can't hear you. Your sound.
I'm on.
There, you're good. You're good. You cut out for me for a second there. You
Oh
said you never
shit.
really gave it a crack.
I never gave it a crack until when YouTube happened. When a lot of these artists were realizing that, oh, we can use YouTube as a way to get our stuff out there and film little videos with a camcorder even and just put them out. When Mac Miller came out with his stuff, I was like, you know what? I could do this too. If this Pittsburgh kid with his hat back, uh, just rapping about smoking weed and whatever,
Big inspiration.
getting a handy by the swing set, whatever it is. If that guy can do that with that type of material, and it was a little superficial at the beginning with him, he got deeper as his career
Yeah.
progressed. But I started thinking, if that guy could do that, then maybe I can give it a try, right? So that's what I did, and I enjoy it. I don't regret it. I think
Oh, I keep losing you there. Might have to wrap this up soon. It keeps cutting out. On. Check.
I can hear you now.
It's bouncing back and forth weird.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good.
I don't know. I'm afraid. I'm going to
Afraid
get
to
into
start a story. I just start giving you this
thing. I'm going to start crying and then
oh, shit.
Oh man. I'm going to go out. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you still.
You're frozen now.
Oh, cool. Fucking Zoom.
Like
what do I pay for? This is why I understand why people have in-person studios now. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be in the middle of this just jarring emotional story. And I'm gonna go out, and then you're gonna bring me back. You're gonna bring my audio back as soon as I'm like, just as I'm saying, and then the priest told me to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
I'm just wiping tears,
Just cut it right back in there from after a commercial or something about my Patreon page.
Yeah. By the way, there were no priests. I was just making a joke. There was nothing. I grew up Catholic, but there was
mocking this internet.
All the priests.
Here.
The priests just got me drunk. That's it. I would just drink wine.
You're just having a good time, just a couple
fucking
boys.
Around. But yeah, my rap thing was just more of a phase for me. I enjoyed it. I just realized that I love doing comedy more. So I'd rather have comedy suck the soul out of me rather than the music industry.
I feel that. I think for me, and I mentioned this on the last podcast with Brandon Zakai, is I felt like going from being like, how long was I doing stand-up at that time? 9 years? 2020? Yeah. So when 2020 hit, I've been doing stand-up for 9 years, and then I'm just like, I'm going to do hip-hop now. Yeah. And then shutting off my comedy brain and stopped like realizing that the grind has come to a halt. Nobody else is doing shit. People are doing stuff on Zoom. It really helped my voice, like on stage. Like now when I go on stage, I'm a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
I have like a rhythm now to like the exact same jokes that I was doing before, but there's more of a rhythm now. There's more of like a smoothness to it.
Yes.
Where I can I don't know, I just feel more confident in my comedy voice because of taking that break, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I've never really examined how that hip hop side and that experience, how that helped me in stand up. I think it gave me a little more confidence, like a little more spunk to do so. Because again, like I was in front of, like it was so funny because in the city, a lot of the time, there was always this preconceived notion that if we do a rap show at this venue, things are just gonna there's gonna be a fight. There's gonna be something going down. There's gonna be some shit. But so a lot of the venues wouldn't do rap shows. There's a lot of them that did, but a lot of the smaller places just didn't. They were hesitant about it.
Yeah.
So the places out in the sticks would do the rap shows, right? So you would get these places in like Ajax and like far out in Oshawa. They were the ones who were putting on this. Wow. So there would be these caravans of rappers. We would all drive up from the city.
I love that.
Into just this bar and grill with just a dude with a handkerchief just sitting at the bar, just getting, buzzed. And that was your audience.
You boys got some rhymes.
Oh, yeah, for 100% it was like that. But then you would get these, there's nothing scarier than a Northern Ontario rapper. There's nothing scarier than a guy from like 3 hours north of North Bay. Where there's no gas
say North Bay, and you said north of North Bay.
None of the roads are paved. They're just rapping about rolling your own cigarettes and propane. that's the extent of their subject. I love
that because they're not trying to be something that they're not.
No, they're not.
That's what I loved about like even Mac Miller his later stuff and like Sunreal, like which. You said that you met. Did you meet him before?
I didn't meet Sunreal.
No,
I never met Sunreal.
I remember what it was. I was wearing his shirt, and you went, "Oh, Sunreal," and I was like, "Oh, somebody else that knows Sunreal."
That's right. I don't think I ever came across him. I know his music, obviously. I think he's cool. But I opened for Tech Nine. I opened for Rakim. I opened. By the way, when I say that, I was not I had to pay to play, right? I had to
Yeah,
sell
yeah,
tickets
yeah,
in order. I wasn't summoned by Rakim to
yeah.
open.
You.
You with the sweater vest.
Yeah.
Uh, that was an amazing show. That's where I look back and I go, I do have some story. Like it was such a crazy time in my life. I don't regret doing it, but to see
Yeah.
people like Rakim, who is a legend, that was just unbelievable. I got to touch his
Watching
hand
those
too.
performances live is like a different ball
Yeah,
game.
it
Like
was insane.
seeing
Tech
rap
Nine
live.
was also crazy. Um, Black Sheep, I opened for. I didn't really care. I wasn't a fan of Black Sheep, so I didn't care as much. But Rakim and Tech Nine, that was just an insane experience.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Where was that?
but
Where'd you end up doing that?
the Rock Kim show was 4th of July 2014, July 4th, 2014. It was at the Phoenix Concert Hall.
Wow.
The Going East in Toronto, like a legendary venue. And then Tech Nine was September. Forget the exact date. I'm usually good with dates. September 2014, not long after, at the Rock Pile. And the Rock Pile was run by a buddy of mine, who I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but he was a promoter. He's a good friend of mine who
Yeah.
he would facilitate and run all the shows. And yeah, it was because of him in a lot of ways that I was able to do stuff like that. But I mean,
I
the
credit
Rock
one of my
Pile,
buddies too, who was like in events promotion for getting me a lot of shit too. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, you need those people who are like they're your buddies, and then all of a sudden they go into like the event space, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, sick. Now we can work together in some regard.
He was an older dude, too. Like he's maybe 3 or 4 years older than I was. But at
Mm.
20, when you're 20, a guy who's 3 or 4 years older than you feel like, oh, I got an older buddy, right? I
Yeah,
got an
yeah,
older
yeah.
friend. And he would drive me home after shows. He would, we kind of developed a rapport from that. But those Rock Pile shows, man, you wouldn't be it was nuts. You wouldn't be out of place after a rock show. I mean, to leave, be filing out with everybody at the end of the night and just see a row of 7 guys handcuffed on their bellies, right? Because just a scuffle broke out.
Oh
I
Jesus.
remember that there was like a good 5 guys, but yeah, always wild times at the rap shows, and I loved it. And I met cool people. It just wasn't necessarily it wasn't my scene,
Mm.
you
Yeah, I
know.
can feel
It
it.
was I still have friends and people that support the work, and I support their work and whatnot. But it's just over time, I just felt fatigued from it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a couple more shows, get the $100, whatever it is, and then just kind of be done with it. I don't know what it was. It was I was 23 at the time, and I just had that switch in my brain that
Yeah, I think those switches are important, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying about like needing to leave your hometown or where you grew up,
yeah,
because like you need to constantly, I think, as a human, be like pushing yourself into different uncomfortable zones. That's what
for
creates
sure.
growth, really. Or it's
Yeah,
just, and it's fun. Like I don't know why there's so many people that are unhappy. Is because they're not doing that. You know, I don't
right.
want to say like this is how you're supposed to live, but I'm like, hey,
No, neither
by
do I.
experience,
Right.
you can always say by
Even
experience.
even if it's not fun, to add to that, even if it's not fun, things in life sometimes are supposed to be not fun.
Yeah,
It puts hair on your ass, right?
yeah,
But again, like to reiterate, shit is expensive. Not everybody can afford to leave. I understand that, but I almost feel like if you're 26, and I've had discussions and I've gotten shit for saying this with people, but not that it's that controversial, but I feel like almost if you're 27 and you want to leave your parents' home, you're going to find a way to go.
yeah. You'll figure it
You're
out.
going to find a way to go. Even if you can't afford to live in the city, you
Yeah,
relocate. People have done it for centuries, right? You go
exactly.
where it's more accessible.
And now it's the
But
same thing with the rapping is, and exactly what you were saying with like Mac Miller even is like once you see someone else that's done it, it becomes that much easier for you to
for
go
sure.
like, well, I can do that too.
Yeah. But that's
I'll,
you
I'll
got to get the good, you got to
yeah.
get the good with the bad. And that's nuance.
That's nuance, baby. I'm gonna pull this
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
We're doing extra time. I usually
No,
cap it at
I
an hour,
know.
but I'm just like,
I
let's go.
I wanted that to be my blow. I wanted that to be the blow line, man. To go. That's like to just bring it back
Pull out
around.
that nuisance. I
I've
always
I've been trying.
ask. I was
Yeah,
gonna say I always ask people one question before we end. I'll let you finish your
sure.
thought though, and I'll ask you that last question.
No, I was just gonna say throughout the recording, I've been smiling creepily into the camera, just trying to get a couple good shots for the thumbnail. Just like
Yeah.
every now and then.
It
So
was like there was one time because that's one of the hardest parts for the show, and I did it to myself to make like a clip. Sometimes I'll just take like a headshot or something, right? Put that on the
right,
thumbnail. But I'm always trying to find like a still of me from the conversation, and it takes forever. So I
yeah,
thought to cut down the process, what I'll do in the intro that I'll record is just have 3 seconds of me like
right.
on the video. And my
I
girlfriend
know.
was at her desk, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, if you just peruse through the recording, you'll be able to find a couple
Just
good
like
ones of me.
I'm just
The
sitting there
whole,
smiling.
just me with
I
the
always,
microphone. That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Hold it down there. Shit, they're
Yeah, yeah.
firing off fireworks. God damn. I
Are
just
they?
hear like,
Yeah, I'm hearing a couple as well
wow.
here.
I was gonna say, I always ask people if you could make a phone call to 15-year-old Alex, it doesn't affect your current timeline whatsoever,
Right.
and give him a piece of advice. What would you tell him?
Oh, I've heard so many people being asked it's I like this question, but I've heard people being asked a version something so like what would you tell your younger self? I've never personally been asked it. And I would, you know what? I would say don't do as crazy. I'm not trying to be a contrarian in this situation, but
Mm-hmm.
I would almost say again, uh try to have a little faith in yourself and try to not, because I was always a nervous kid, always shy, always shit like that. I hated myself in a lot of ways. Try enjoying yourself a little bit. Try enjoying yourself. Try to put a little bit of the dread aside and the anxiety aside. But realize that life is it's fucked up. To say it simply, it's fucked up. You get the good with the bad. You get the nuance of it all. And if you accept that and just learn to really accept people for being flawed, because I was always angry at people, um, and just kind of being treating me a certain way or doing stuff. If you can accept people for who they are, that's you'll be okay. I don't know. I forgot that you were going to ask me this question, so it is a curveball. But I think just
No, that's
uh,
great, man. That's a great piece
to
of advice.
just be able to enjoy a little bit more. That's one of the problems is through all the bullshit, we are lucky to be here. We are
There,
lucky to be here.
we are
There,
one in a
there
million sperm.
we're one in a million sperm. You are the winning sperm.
Yeah.
You are the winning sperm.
And think about this. I heard this, and this always blows my mind too. Think about like your DNA, your makeup, like what you look like, what your parents look like. The faces that we see
Right.
today are here because they were attractive to another person enough to
Yeah.
mate and continue on that gene. So you are
Right.
part of the top percent of the
Interesting.
types of faces, types of humans that made it
Right.
this far.
Right.
You are loved enough already to make it here. So you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I have a good face, and it's unfortunately not old looking enough to not get me carded at the gas station every time I
Yeah,
go by
same here,
smokes,
bro. Same here. You're
which I'm
preaching to
getting
the
tired
choir.
of. Getting tired of. Everybody says, "Well, be lucky that you look so young,"
Yeah.
but I'm like, I don't. I would like to not be embarrassed by.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
embarrassing at times, right? It's
I'd like to not wear
embarrassing.
a backpack and look like I just left high school. Like
I would
this
like
is
to,
just the
yeah.
easiest way to carry my shit around.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's laundry day, and I got nothing
Yeah.
but the Jurassic Park hoodie, right?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because I feel almost like, and this is the last thing I'll say before. Um, I feel almost like because guys like old, like jock looking dudes, in my teens and throughout my 20s would kind of bust my balls for being baby faced.
Hmm.
I feel like whenever anybody even compliments me for looking, excuse me, for looking younger, I get a little bitter by it, right?
Yeah.
I get kind of like I'm still like it just still brings me
It's
back to that
trauma.
mindset of just some condescending prick.
Yeah. You're like, why don't you just pat me on the head while you're at it?
You can pat me on the head, spin the twirly top thing on my hat, and but dude, I appreciate it. I gotta run. I've been holding in a piss for about 40 minutes now.
Kudos to you. Everyone go check out Alex DeWitt comedy. Something's off with Alex DeWitt. Alex DeWitt. All links are in the description below.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, dude. This was a lot of fun. I hope to be on again at some point.
We definitely will do it again for sure. I'll come back.
This was so fun. All right, man.
Out of here. Take care.
Take care, dude. Bro. You too.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.